The world mourns as Britain's longest reigning monarch, Queen Elizabeth II, has died. Local and world leaders react as the Queen is remembered for her service and sense of duty. Also, Britain has a new monarch as King Charles III ascends the British throne. Plus, a memorial fit for a queen as we recap the brilliant legacy of Elizabeth II. Those were scenes from outside Buckingham Palace earlier today as the eyes of the world are in London tonight awaiting the latest news on the biggest story on the planet. Good evening, everyone. I'm Natalia Hall. Queen Elizabeth, Britain's longest reigning monarch, that nation's figurehead who served as the head of the Commonwealth of the Nations, died peacefully at her home in Scotland today at the age of 96. Described as a towering presence on the world stage. News that the Queen's health was deteriorating emerged shortly after midday on Thursday, when doctors said she was under medical supervision. The new king, her eldest son Charles, said, quote, "The death of my beloved mother is a moment of the great sadness for me and all of my family members." He went on to say her loss will be deeply felt throughout the country, the realism, and the Commonwealth. At 6:30 p.m. London time, there was a stunned silence as the flag over the palace was lowered to half-mast. The crowd gathered surged to the gates as the notice that the Queen had quietly passed was posted on the black iron palace gates. Around the world, condolences began pouring in as news of Her Majesty's passing spread. Constant, steadfast, shrewd, one of the greatest leaders of our time, words and phrases used to describe Queen Elizabeth II. A long life marked by a sense of duty, as British Prime Minister Liz Truss, who was appointed by the Queen on Tuesday, saying in a heartfelt speech on her passing that the monarch was the rock on which modern Britain was built, providing the country with stability and strength that it needed.
We are all devastated by the news that we have just heard from Balmoral. The death of Her Majesty the Queen is a huge shock to the nation and to the world. Queen Elizabeth II was the rock on which modern Britain was built. Our country has grown and flourished under her reign. Britain is the great country it is today because of her. She ascended the throne just after the Second World War. She championed the development of the Commonwealth from a small group of 7 countries to a family of 56 nations, spanning every continent of the world.
As the crown passes to King Charles, Prime Minister Truss, in speaking about the new king, saying Britain must come together as a people to support him and help him bear the awesome responsibility that he now carries.
We offer him our loyalty and devotion, just as his mother devoted so much to so many for so long. And with the passing of the second Elizabethan age, we usher in a new era in the magnificent history of our great country, exactly as Her Majesty would have wished, by saying the words, "God save the King."
Now, tributes pouring in from local leaders today as an emergency press conference was called following Her Majesty's passing. Officials saying events will be held in the coming days to pay respects. Berthany McDermott reports.
It was a somber mood this afternoon as news broke that Queen Elizabeth II has died. Speaking at a press conference this afternoon, British High Commissioner Thomas Hartley says when the news broke, it was a hard moment for everyone.
And we've all lost a public servant who has done her utmost for all our countries. But as it has done for hundreds of years, the crown has now passed to King Charles III. The people of the UK, as a fellow realm, join with the people of the Bahamas in mourning the death of Her Majesty. But together we also join together in offering our loyalty and our devotion to our new king.
Tributes also coming in from Prime Minister Philip Davis, who said, on behalf of the government and the people of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, we offer our sincere condolences to the members of the royal family. Opposition leader Michael Pintard said, it is with heartfelt regret that we extend sincere condolences to the royal family upon the passing of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II. Former Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis saying Her Majesty was loved by her people. Her loss has caused an outpouring of grief from across the globe. Former Prime Minister Hubert Ingram saying Her Majesty has been throughout her reign a symbol of stability even as she reigned over a transforming Commonwealth. In a statement on Facebook, former Prime Minister Perry Christie also extended condolences to the royal family and the people of the United Kingdom. Meanwhile, Hartley says British nationals living in the Bahamas can also pay respects.
We will open a secondary condolence book for British visitors and British nationals who would find it appropriate to sign at the High Commission.
Speaking on behalf of the Governor-General, Permanent Secretary Jack Thompson said events will be held to pay respect to Queen Elizabeth II.
We encourage the radio stations to play somber music and be cognizant of the fact that we join the global community in acknowledging this time of mourning.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Berthany McDermott.
And moments after the announcement of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II's passing, leaders across the globe began sharing their condolences on social media. Our Jamila Mizik has that.
The royal family's Twitter account breaking the news to the world. The tweet read, "The Queen died peacefully at Balmoral this afternoon." In a statement, King Charles III said, "The death of my beloved mother, Her Majesty the Queen, is a moment of the greatest sadness for me and all members of my family. We mourn profoundly the passing of a cherished sovereign and a much-loved mother. I know her loss will be deeply felt throughout the country, the realms, and the Commonwealth, and by countless people around the world." CARICOM Secretary General Dr. Carla Barnett saying, "I express my deepest regrets at the passing of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II. A life of service and duty is over. May she rest in peace." While Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau tweeting, "As we look back at her life and her reign that spanned so many decades, Canadians will always remember and cherish Her Majesty's wisdom, compassion, and warmth." U.S. President Joe Biden and First Lady Jill Biden also issuing a statement calling the Queen more than a monarch and saying she defined an era, adding that she was the first British monarch to whom all people around the world could feel a personal and immediate connection. Adding to the condolences were former U.S. President Barack Obama and his wife Michelle, who tweeted they were grateful to have witnessed Her Majesty's dedicated leadership and were awed by her legacy of tireless, dignified public service. And former UK Prime Minister Tony Blair summing up her death as not only a monarch, but the matriarch of their nation. Reporting for Our News, I'm Jamila Mizik.
Thanks, Jamila. Now our coverage on the passing of Queen Elizabeth II continues in a moment with more tributes and a recap of her rich legacy. But we now go to meteorologist Greg Thompson, who is in the Weather Center, with your first look at temperatures.
Yes, Italia, another warm and humid evening outside our studios right now with temperatures in the mid-80s, 85 degrees outside our studios with a few clouds. We had a couple isolated thunderstorms here in the capital earlier today. Southwesterly flow bringing in that warm tropical air mass at 6 miles per hour, and that's making it feel like 93 degrees on the outside. Satellite view, that southwesterly flow pumping in a lot of moisture really across the South United States, Florida in particular, and some of that making it across the Northwest Bahamas. That's keeping us a little unstable. Temperatures did manage to get into the 90s, and we could see 1 or 2 more showers later on tonight, but this weather pattern will continue across us throughout tomorrow, and we could see a few more showers, and of course Earl is out there, still a very powerful hurricane. That's our first look at weather. Stay with us. Your extended forecast is still to come.
Thanks, Greg. And still to come on Our News, mourners sharing tearful reactions on the news of the Queen's passing, plus her brilliant legacy on display. As we recap her unmatched reign and connection to these islands, Our News comes back in a moment.
Got wireless dead zones at your house? How about endless buffering? Will you put the Wi-Fi password again? This is Aero. Aero is not just any Wi-Fi router. Rev customers get the first Wi-Fi system that covers every inch of your beautiful home, improving home coverage, higher speeds, high performance, and connectivity for up to 75 simultaneous devices. Aero. So while you're streaming your favorite show on HBO Max, Aero with Rev gives you the freedom to stay connected while you work, learn, and play at home.
Never think about Wi-Fi again with Aero from Rev. Visit rev.bs/aero or call 601-8992 to make your Wi-Fi wishes come true.
You are watching scenes from Venice earlier today as God Save the Queen, playing following the death of Queen Elizabeth II. As millions around the world mourn the Queen's death, many are reflecting on her legacy. In this next report, our Marlena Leonard takes a look at her life.
Born April 21st, 1926, Elizabeth Alexandra Mary was not born to be queen, only becoming the heir presumptive after her father, King George VI, ascended the throne after the abdication of his brother, King Edward VIII, in 1936 when Elizabeth was 10 years old. Elizabeth always publicly took her role seriously and reverently, seen as early as her 21st birthday message in 1947.
I declare before you all that my whole life, whether it be long or short, shall be devoted to your service and to the service of our great imperial family to which we all belong.
When her father died in 1952, 25-year-old Elizabeth became Queen Regnant, meaning she was a queen who reigned in her own right. Her Majesty visited the Bahamas on many occasions, beginning in 1966 and finally in 1994. The visits from the royal family continued, including Prince Harry's 2012 visit and more recently the royal visit from the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge earlier this year to mark the Queen's Platinum Jubilee. But even during the years when she was unable to visit, she remained connected with the Bahamas, often receiving Bahamian dignitaries. In September of 2019, she sent a message of condolences to the Bahamian people following Hurricane Dorian. Queen Elizabeth II's 70-year reign has made her the oldest and longest reigning English monarch, as well as the second longest reigning sovereign monarch in world history. Her legacy, of her unwavering devotion to her role and to her people, is one that she has passed down to her successors and is a monument to a lifetime of her selfless dedication to the crown. Reporting for Our News, I'm Marlena Leonard.
And mourners outside Windsor Castle grief-stricken over the death of Queen Elizabeth II, sharing tearful reaction on the news of her passing, some offering their support for the new King Charles III.
It's just a sad day for us all today. We've all known just one queen. She's the person we've always looked up to somehow. It's just a sad day. Just a very, very sad day.
No, I've never been a royalist, so I don't know why I've been so affected by it. I literally only found out a few minutes ago, and before it happened, I didn't think I would be, but I really am, and I realised just how important she was, for the stability. But and she's been putting up with a lot over the last year, I have to say, and she handles things really well. And I think, Charles will follow in her footsteps.
She was just a wonderful person. My parents had tremendous respect for her, and she pledged her life to this country, and she led this country with great reverence and duty and respect and honor, and I just don't know if there would be another like her.
It does,
It's going to be weird because it's just with
us being in our early 20s as well, this is all that we've come to know, and so it's this ending of this decade, ending of all that we've known, and coming into this new.
It's a new era for us.
Yeah.
Like we've only ever known the one queen, and now we're going to be moving into a new monarch.
Our News speaking with another resident in Buckingham, England this afternoon following the news of Queen Elizabeth's death. And she says the news is sending shockwaves throughout the country, adding that the Queen was well respected globally.
I think it's quite a blow at the moment. I don't think people recognized or appreciated that she was 96 years old and what she was still doing at 96 years old.
Lilia Bogle sits on the medical board at the University of Buckingham and has been living in the United Kingdom for over 50 years. Bogle says Queen Elizabeth was an extraordinary queen, adding that she had a great love for the Commonwealth.
And I think the Commonwealth was her baby in so much that she wants her son to take over the Commonwealth role, and also she's actually asked for his wife to be Queen Consort to support him in doing this particular area as well.
Bogle describing the mood on the ground, saying tributes are pouring in.
People have started gathering like mad outside Buckingham Palace, although she's not there because they were waiting for the news. In also Windsor, they're gathering. They're gathering in Balmoral. People was before this was just questioning what's happening.
Bogle says for England, it's an interesting time as the country recently got a new prime minister. She adds that the Queen was a modest woman.
And I think she's been through a lot with all the different changes through the monarchy for the years, and she seemed to have sustained her position.
She says Queen Elizabeth carried out her duties for 70 years, and that is to be commended, adding that she will be missed.
She pledged her life to the end, and she actually went to the end, because up to yesterday, she was sending out information concerning Canada and things like that. So I think she did exactly what she said she would do when she was coroning.
It's now time for tonight's Financial Market Minute, brought to you by RF, your local investment bank. This has been your Financial Market Minute. To explore the best performing mutual funds in the Bahamas, visit our website at www.rfgroup.com.
When our news comes back from the break, reduced to rubble, the dome city that residents on Abaco called home for 3 years after Dorian is now no more. And sportscaster Marcellus Hall joins us now in studio with what he's got coming up. Marcellus?
Plus, Italia coming up in sports for you tonight. Country's archery team off to a great start at the qualification rounds in Santo Domingo, Dominican Republic. We'll give you details on that. And our UB men's soccer team. They're in Florida this weekend for a 2-game set. That's all coming up in sports.
Sounds great, Marcellus. And a man is charged for a second time for the same murder. Details from court proceedings when our news returns.
Got wireless dead zones at your house? How about endless buffering? Will you put the Wi-Fi password again?
This is Aero.
Aero is not just any Wi-Fi router. Rev customers get the first Wi-Fi system that covers every inch of your beautiful home, improving home coverage, higher speeds, high performance, and connectivity for up to 75 simultaneous devices. Aero. So while you're streaming your favorite show on HBO Max, Aero with Rev gives you the freedom to stay connected while you work, learn, and play at home.
Never think about Wi-Fi again with Aero from Rev. Visit rev.bs/Aero or call 601-8992 to make your Wi-Fi wishes come true.
This is our news. Welcome back. It was back on April 2020 when 32 Dorian survivors received their keys to temporary dome housing in Spring City, Abaco. Now, more than 2 years later, Dome City has been reduced to rubble. Megan Shepard has the story in this report.
Seeing them tear down that dome today brought back a whole lot of Dorian memories.
Former Dome City resident Maxine Ferguson was extremely emotional as she now has to move out of the dome she shared with her 2 children for over 1 year. The family lost their home in Spring City during Hurricane Dorian. The dome issue has grabbed headlines in recent weeks. Chairman of the Disaster Reconstruction Authority, Alex Storr, announced that the demolition of the dome site in Spring City, Abaco would be postponed. But early this morning, demolition began as occupants looked on. Ferguson says that last night, as she and her children packed their belongings to leave, their power was shut off.
I felt belittled, even in front of my children.
She says there are other families with children that now have to seek refuge during the peak of the hurricane season. She says she believes the government could have done more to assist residents.
All that money they use on that concert in Nassau, they could have used that to help those rest the persons who were there to the dome. But again, it goes to show that we don't matter.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Megan Shepard.
A murder suspect who failed to keep his ankle monitor charged has been fined and sentenced to 18 months of probation. 25-year-old Nashawn Roll was ordered to wear an ankle bracelet pending his trial for the May 5, 2020 murder of 17-year-old Jason Joseph. But Roll ignored notifications to charge the battery on his tracking device and allowed the battery to get to 0% on August 27th, 28th, 30th, and 31st. Roll pleaded guilty to violating his bail conditions when he appeared before Magistrate Samuel McKinney. He was given the choice of paying a $2,500 fine or serving a 3-month prison sentence. A breach of Roll's 18-month probation will result in 6 months in prison. A man has been charged twice for the same murder. Pradalian Moxie appeared before Chief Magistrate Joanne Ferguson Pratt today for the July 10, 2021 murder of Teran Taylor at Sunset Park. He was not required to enter a plea to the allegation and remanded to prison. Now Moxie returns to court on January 12, 2023 to receive a voluntary bill of indictment that will send the case to the Supreme Court for trial. Now this is the second time that Moxie appeared before a magistrate concerning Taylor's murder. Moxie appeared before Magistrate Samuel McKinney for the same case on July 14, 2021. But prosecutors discharged the matter for an unknown reason. However, police rearrested Moxie and charged him again. Our national archery team off to a great start with 4 medals already. Meanwhile, the UB soccer team headed to Florida. Marcellus Hall joins us now with more on this. Marcellus?
All right, thanks a lot, Natalia. Welcome to our sports, everybody. I'm Marcellus Hall. We have an archery team currently in Dominican Republic, and turns out they're going off to a pretty good start. So far, the team has 4 medals. Let's take a look at the progress. University of the Bahamas men's soccer team arriving today in Florida for 2 matches this weekend. The side will play Atlantis University Friday and Saturday in Fort Lauderdale. This is now the first soccer matches for the season. Team is coming off 2 spectacular preseason wins in local competition and are looking for big results this weekend.
We've been working on a lot of things in training, and we're just looking to put things in place going forward, creating a culture and finalizing the philosophy. We're trying to play a possession-based type of football, attack-minded and very progressive, and these 2 games will be building blocks for us going forward.
Meanwhile, our national archery team doing pretty well after 1 day of competition. Team Bahamas has now got 2 gold medals and 2 silver medals. Bernard Almira from the Grand Bahama Archery Club, he took gold in the men's bear bow competition. Dario Higgs taking gold in the senior men's recurve division. Lisa Stovell-Rowe took silver in the senior women's compound division, and Dante Dolrillian took silver in the men's under-18 recurve division there. So far, the Caribbean Developmental Championships and the Copa Meringue Tournament both going well in Santo Domingo. And that is your look at sports here on this Thursday. I'm Marcellus Hall. Back to you, Italia.
Thanks, Marcellus. Don't go away. Greg is back in the Weather Center with more on developments in the tropics.
Yes, Italia, we're still tracking the tropics. Earl is still out there, powerful hurricane right now, 105-mile-per-hour winds. Daniel is basically gone. It's not being covered by the National Hurricane Center anymore, but we're watching 2 systems out in the open Atlantic, giving a high chance for formation, the first one in the central Atlantic, and a strong tropical wave that came off African coast, a low chance for formation over the next couple of days. We'll tell you all about those later on in our extended forecast.
Thanks, Greg. We'll see you back in a bit. Our news continues in a moment.
Got wireless dead zones at your house? How about endless buffering? Put the Wi-Fi password again.
This is Aero.
Aero is not just any Wi-Fi router. Rev customers get the first Wi-Fi system that covers every inch of your beautiful home, improving home coverage, higher speeds, high performance, and connectivity for up to 75 simultaneous devices. Aero. So while you're streaming your favorite show on HBO Max, Aero with Rev gives you the freedom to stay connected while you work, learn, and play at home.
Never think about Wi-Fi again with Aero from Rev. Visit rev.bs/Aero or call 601-8992 to make your Wi-Fi wishes come true.
Welcome back to our news. We are still monitoring activity in the tropics. Meteorologist Greg Thompson is back in the Weather Center tracking the latest developments. Hello again, Greg.
Yes, Natalia, we're still tracking the tropics. Earl, a powerful hurricane, has strengthened overnight to a 105-mile-per-hour system. Will continue to move towards the north and approach Bermuda by late tonight and into tomorrow. And some showers and thunderstorms now affecting that island. They are under tropical storm watch, but we expect that to be upgraded to a hurricane watch. Daniel is gone. Really no problems for us. It's now a tropical storm. Will continue to rapidly weaken to a remnant low and continue to move towards Europe. We're also watching two areas in the tropics. National Hurricane Center giving a high chance for a system that's in the open Atlantic. That's going to continue to move towards the northwest and eventually curve out towards the north and stay in the open Atlantic. And another system down just to the south of the Cabo Verde Islands. The National Hurricane Center giving that a 30% chance for formation over the next couple of days. Locally, weak pressure pattern in charge. We do have an upper level trough that's going to be moving across Florida. That's going to generate quite a bit of showers. That will increase our shower chances. You see that in our 7-day forecast. So more showers in the forecast throughout that period. Earl, as I mentioned, 105-mile-per-hour category storm, and it's going to continue to move away from us. The effects for us really will only be the swells. We're asking you boaters and beachgoers to exercise caution if you plan on doing any of those activities throughout the next couple of days. How Earl will be shaping up? Quickly moving, expected to strengthen to a Category 3 system by Friday and eventually racing off towards the north and east into the open Atlantic, and that should pose no problem for us. We will see some more swells early next week as the system continues to move away from us. Boating forecast for all areas tonight through tomorrow. Winds will be light and variable, seas running 1 to 3 feet. Your swells will actually keep seas up to 5 feet, so we're asking you boaters and your beachgoers to exercise caution. High tide will be at 7:04 tonight. Here's a look now at your national forecast. A look now at your extended forecast. A moisture plume will be moving into our area. Southwesterly winds bringing a lot of moisture to us, so we're looking for some showers into the weekend and possibly into early next week. That's a look at our forecast. Make it a safe night, everybody.
Thanks, Greg, and stay tuned to our news this week as we continue our coverage on the life and brilliant legacy of Queen Elizabeth II as the world continues to mourn her passing. For all of the latest on this, be sure and stay tuned to our News Bahamas on Facebook. With that, we thank you for joining us for our news tonight. On behalf of the entire team, I'm Natalia Hall. We'll see you right back here tomorrow night. A special edition of On the Record, Dorian, 3 years later from Grand Bahama, starts now.